Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a full review of one of my favorite watches in a collection, a 1950s Baume and Mercier Chronograph. I will also give you a background on how I came about buying this watch and my experience on trying to fix this timepiece, because if you watched the unboxing video for the watch, you know that I purchased it broken. The chronograph function wasn't working. So let's get started. First, a little bit of a background behind this purchase. So I purchased this watch for myself as a birthday present. Originally, I was trying to buy an Omega Speedmaster, probably a reduced version, although now I'm kind of leaning towards a professional version, but that's a topic for a different video. So I was trying to buy myself a Speedmaster. However, the shipping and the import charges would cost almost as much as how much I paid for this watch. So I stumbled on it on eBay. The seller had pretty good ratings. I actually did a video about how to buy a vintage watch and how I personally buy vintage watches that I buy on eBay. So the seller had pretty good ratings. The pictures looked pretty good. The seller did disclose that the chronograph function wasn't working properly. It would start and it would stop, but it wouldn't reset back to zero. The watch has a Londeron 48 movement, kind of a well-known movement, a movement that's found in a lot of watches. So I decided to take the risk, and what was the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing could happen, I would buy a watch that doesn't have a reset function for the chronograph. I would still have a pretty good watch at the end of the day. So I pulled the trigger. I offered the seller $270 US. To my surprise, he actually accepted the offer because I think the watch was listed at $400. And of course, I did an unboxing video for you guys. So what happened next? Well, first thing that happened actually, on the same day that I received the watch, the chronograph function stopped starting and stopping, if that makes sense. So during the unboxing video and when I just received the watch, the chronograph seconds hand would start and stop as I would press the according pushers. But in a few hours, it just wasn't responding anymore to the pushes. The chronograph function kept on working, so it wasn't stopping at all. I was a little disappointed in that, but you know what? It's a vintage watch. It's a risk you take with buying one of them. So I started visiting all the watchmakers on my list. I have about 4 different watchmakers that I usually go to, trying to see which one of them would be able to fix this watch and which one of them would be able to fix it at an affordable price. The first watchmaker that I take pretty much all of my affordable timepieces, I took it to him and he said, hey, I have no ability to fix this watch, forget about it. The second watchmaker is actually the watchmaker that serviced my Rolex Datejust. He's a really well-known watchmaker and he's really good. His name is Norbert. He actually opened the case back. He knew right away what was wrong with the watch. He wrote out a list of things that were wrong with the watch. So one of the things that needed to be replaced was a minute counter wheel, and the second thing that needed to be replaced was a tension spring. Also the crown needs to be replaced, and the seconds hand, the counterweight was broken off, so we decided to replace that, plus the cleaning of the movement. So he quoted me 450 Canadian dollars, which is around, I'd say, 390, 385 US dollars. Quite a bit of money, more than I actually paid for the watch. So I was a bit disappointed, but I decided I'm not gonna give it to him just yet. I'm gonna shop around and see maybe somebody else would be able to fix this watch for me. So this was late November, before December, and I went to a few other watchmakers. Some of them had no idea how to even approach fixing this movement. A lot of them said, oh, I'll need a year. I need to check with my supplier to see if they would have even the parts for this movement. Basically, they had no idea what was going on with this movement. They said the watch is from 1950s. It would be very difficult to find parts. Basically, kind of saying, hey, it would cost a lot of money, it would take a lot of time, and we are not even sure if we can fix this watch for you. However, I still had one more watchmaker to visit. So this watchmaker was recommended to me by a friend of mine who is a big watch collector. I actually never visited this watchmaker before. His name is Drawn. So I brought the watch to him. He opened the case back. He knew right away what was wrong with it. He said, give me a day, call me tomorrow, and I'll let you know if I can fix the watch for you. So that's what I did. I called him the next day. He told me that, yeah, no problem, I can fix the watch. I have access to all the parts. Then I dropped off the watch with him. It took about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, but we also were going through the holiday season, so there was Christmas, there was New Year's, so that's why it took a little bit longer. So about 3 weeks in total for the repairs, and it cost me only 130 Canadian dollars. So that's about 100 US dollars, including cleaning and all of the repairs. So the replacement of the minute counter wheel, the replacement of a tension spring, and he also replaced the seconds hand. He did not replace the crown, and as you can see, the crown is actually not original to the watch. I was on a cloud 9 because honestly, this is one of my favorite watches in the collection, and I'm so happy that I was able to fix it, and I was able to fix it at such a low price. After the repair, the watch is not perfect. So one of the things that happens with a lot of these vintage chronographs is that the seconds hand on a chronograph doesn't always reset perfectly to 0, and that's what happened to my chronograph. It's not a huge deal. It's about a minute off, maybe 20% of the time. So 80% of the time it resets perfectly to 0, but that 20% of the time it's slightly off. Not a big deal, and to be honest, on vintage chronographs especially, I don't use the chronograph function all that often. It's just something that's nice to have. I like to have a watch in a nice, clean, working order, but I don't really use the chronograph function, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I love wearing this watch. After the repair, it was very hard to wear anything else on my wrist. The size is a bit small, so it's only 35 millimeter diameter, and it's quite thick. It's 12 millimeters thickness, but a lot of that does come from the domed crystal, and the dome crystal clearly was replaced at some point. So the dial does have some damage on it, as you can see by the 10 o'clock position and also on some of the sub dials. But the 5 o'clock position, that telemeter or the tachymeter, the blue outer ring, there is some damage on the dial. It's by no means in a pristine condition, and that's why I was able to buy it for such an affordable price. But to be honest with you, I don't mind all this little damage, as I call it, character, because it really shows that the watch is almost 70 years old, and that the watch had a life, and it was used, and it was enjoyed by somebody else before I got my hands on it. I really do love this dial. I love the applied indices in Arabic numerals. I love the little lume pips. Unfortunately, the lume doesn't work anymore. I also really like the thin golden hands. Just everything about this watch is pure class to me. I wear this watch more as a dress watch, or maybe a bit of a casual watch with a button-up shirt, and I think it looks awesome. It also came on this brown leather strap. The leather strap is actually excellent, and I think it fits the watch really well. The lug width is only 17 millimeters, so it's kind of hard to pick good straps for this watch. Unfortunately, I don't have any other straps right now that are 17 millimeters. I have some 18 millimeter straps, but they don't really fit that well. So for the future, I need to buy some straps for this watch to kind of experiment. But I think even the strap that the watch came on is really good. It's really thick, and it fits the watch very well. So that's how I bought a $1,000 chronograph for about 400 bucks. And I have a service now, so it should be running for years to come. It was a bit of a gamble because the repairs could have cost 2 or 3 times as much as how much I paid for this watch, and essentially wiping out all of my quote-unquote profits. Now, I'm not going to be selling this watch anytime soon because I love it so much. I love wearing this watch, I love the history behind it, and most importantly, I love how this watch makes me feel, and I think that's the most important part of owning any watch. It's the feeling that the watch gives you, and this watch specifically makes me feel amazing, so I don't think I'm going to get rid of it, even though I can probably flip it for a profit right now. I hope you found this video useful, especially if you're looking for a vintage chronograph. Just keep in mind that the repairs can cost you a lot of money. If there's one takeaway from this story, is that you should always try to work with as many watchmakers as possible. If you have a watch that you need repaired, maybe take it to a few different watchmakers, because as you can see from my personal experience, the price quotes were wildly different, and some of the watchmakers weren't even attempting to fix this watch. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what is your favorite vintage watch in your watch collection. And if you don't have any vintage watches in your watch collection, are you planning to get any? And if so, what is that ultimate vintage watch? By the way, today on my wrist, I'm wearing the Tissel Submersible. I just did a comparison between this and the Tissel Marine Diver. Of course, the video can be found on the channel. Also, in the description of this video, there is a secret link. Have a look if you're curious. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.